Did you know that you can create stunning art pieces using just molded air dry clay and a wood canvas? Watch as I unveil an art piece that showcases this very technique and demonstrates just how stunning it can be. Hello, my crafty friends. I'm Donna from Mason Creations, etc., and welcome to my channel. It's always wonderful to see all of you. So if you're ready to get creative, grab your supplies and let's make a mess. I have a package that came with 3 wooden trays. I already used the smallest one in the package on another project, and today I'm going to use the 2 remaining ones. It can be used as a tray or wooden canvas, and today it's going to be a double wooden canvas. I'm giving it a quick sanding with a medium grit sandpaper. I want to smooth out all the edges of the wood as well as the top surface. I'm going to paint the smaller one with Dixie Belle paint in the color Cotton, which is white. I'm going to be doing an ombre technique and want the wood primed before painting my colors. I painted the top surface and all the sides. I let that dry for about 30 minutes. For the larger board, I'm using a gel stain in the color Walnut. I put some on a paper towel and then just wiped the board down and let it dry for about 30 minutes. I'm going to create a sunset using several different colors of paint and a sponge for each color. I'm going to use Pentart dark sand at the bottom, symbolizing the ground. The rest of the colors will be shades of yellow, peach, purple, and dark blue. I'm sponging my color at the bottom of the board, making it total coverage at the bottom and lighter coverage at the top of the color. This will make it easier to blend the next color. I made sure to get the sides and bottom of the board. Next up is Pentart Yellow. I'm going to blend it together with the brown. I'm going back and forth with the 2 colors until I'm happy with the blend between the 2. Before I start, I wet all my sponges and then wring them out with a paper towel. A damp sponge will help your paint blend easier. Make sure they're just damp and not dripping wet. The next color is Summer Peach, and I'll blend that one with the yellow, going back and forth again with the 2 colors. If your paint isn't blending well, spray your sponge with a little bit of water. The water helps the paints to blend. Where are you all watching from, my crafty friends? Let me know in the comments. I just love to see what cities and countries all my friends are watching from. I'm filming from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. Now, some Pentart Purple, blending it with the peach. If you want to see a video tutorial on exactly how to do ombre painting, click the banner at the top right of your screen. I'll also leave you a link for this video in my description box below, as well as at the end of this video. The final color is Pentart Dark Blue, which will blend with the purple. This and all the products you're going to see me use today came from decoupagenapkins.com, my wonderful sponsors. My crafty friend Karen S. from Oregon requested a mixed media project with an ombre sunset. Karen, this video is for you. The yellow turned out to be a little darker than what I wanted, so I went over it with a lighter shade of yellow and blended it with the peach and brown, and I'll let all that dry for about 30 minutes. The night sky needs some stars. I'm dipping an old toothbrush in my white paint, then sprayed it with some water to make it a little runny. Running my thumb over the bristles creates a really fine spray of white on my canvas. After the paint dried, I gave my entire piece a coat of Polyvine heavy-duty wood varnish in a satin finish. 2 or 3 coats of this gives you a beautiful shine that's moisture and high heat resistant, as well as high chemical resistant, high stain resistant, high abrasion resistant, and food safe. This works wonderful on any painted or decoupage surface or a shiny surface that has been coated with Polyvine multi-surface lacquer. I let that dry for an hour between each coat and an hour after the final coat. I've had a few people ask me if this varnish has a strong smell. No, it does not. It's water-based, so there are no harmful fumes at all. Now here's how to get an incredible shine with the satin finish heavy-duty wood varnish. After an hour and my first coat of heavy-duty wood varnish is dry, I'm sanding with some fine grit sandpaper very lightly and wiping off the dust. This time I'm going to use Polyvine's varnish brush to apply the heavy-duty wood varnish. This brush is designed to eliminate brush strokes and leaves a beautiful self-leveling shine. You can do this same procedure more than once. Keep sanding and adding another coat until you get the desired shine. Just make sure you let it dry for at least an hour between coats. Now I'm going to glue the two boards together. I measured and marked the bottom board with some painter's tape. I'm pretty OCD, so I measure everything. I'm using Aleene's tacky glue to attach them. I put the glue on the bottom of the smaller board. Because of my tape marks, it was really easy to set it down in the proper place. If you're enjoying this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. And why not share this with a friend? Thanks for doing that. You won't want to miss any of the new projects coming up, so don't forget to subscribe. I removed any glue that seeped out from underneath right away with a clean, damp paintbrush. I removed the tape carefully and allowed this to dry overnight. I'm going to use my favorite, DOS clay, to make some embellishments for my wood canvas. The star is going to be this beautiful horse in boots. DecoupageNapkins.com has a new line of silicone molds, and this small white mold is part of their new accent mold series. They are quite reasonably priced and have such amazing detail. And there's quite a large selection to choose from. I have some other molds as well, some cactus and succulents. I ended up not using the cactus molds for this project. After pressing the clay into the molds, I'm scraping off the excess with my palette knife and then smoothing the clay out with some water. Then I'll put them in the freezer for 20 minutes. Freezing the clay makes it rigid so they just pop out of the mold easily. No tiny little limbs will break off. If you want to see an in-depth video on how to work with air dry clay, click the banner in the top right corner of your screen. I'll also leave you a link for that video in my description box below. Fresh out of the freezer, watch how easily these just pop out of the molds. No delicate little pieces will break off. They are frozen solid, so I'll need to let them thaw for a few minutes, but not in the mold. Make sure you remove them from the mold right away as soon as you take them out of the freezer. I'm ready to start gluing my clay pieces to the board. I'm using Aleene's tacky glue. This glue is the best I've found for gluing wet clay. I have everything placed on the canvas where I want it, but you'll see I am about to change my mind on the cactus. They just seem too small. I liked the succulents much better. The great thing about adding your clay when it's wet is that you can bend it over the edges and mold it to your piece. Any glue that seeps out from under the clay, I'm wiping off with a clean, damp brush. DecoupageNapkins.com has such a great selection of napkins that you can purchase one at a time. They carry many other craft supplies such as rice paper, paint, clay, molds, and a great selection of Polyvine products. Over 9,000 products and growing. They are wonderful to work with and will send your order out fast. You'll receive free shipping on orders over $75 and special bonus points for orders over $100. Subscribe to their newsletter by entering your email address, and you'll receive 10% off your next order. They are truly your one-stop shop for craft supplies. Make sure you check them out. I'll be leaving links for all the products I use in my description box below, as well as more information on the previously mentioned promotions. Please note that any of these promotions are subject to future changes. I'm using Dixie Belle chalk paint in the colored drop cloth for the body of the horse. Pentart hazelnut for the mane. Pentart light brown for the boots. I used Pentart mallow for 2 of the flowers in the horse's mane, the other 2 Pentart purple and vintage pink. I'm sure you guys have noticed that I use a lot of Dixie Belle and Pentart paints. These are my absolute favorites. They both go on super smooth and creamy with really good coverage. I rarely, if ever, need a second coat of Pentart, and that goes for the metallic colors as well. I used Pentart leaf green to paint the leaves around the flowers and the forelock of the horse's mane. There are also a couple of rosebuds that I painted vintage pink. Now it's time to paint all of my succulents. They are normally a bluish, greenish, grayish colors, so here goes. I'm mixing exactly those 3 colors together. I'm using Pentart Country Green, Country Blue, and French Gray. It was a little light, so I put a tiny bit of Pentart Pine Green. I think that's a great color now. I'm using this color on the ones that have a lot of the fleshy leaves. The ones that look like roses will have a little different color. I test all the products that I recommend in my videos. I won't recommend anything that I haven't used myself and prefer. If I'm recommending it, you can bet it's a great product. Each product will be listed in my description box below and will have a blue link to make it easy for you to find. Any of the links I provide are safe for you to click on. I'm mixing up the color for the rose-like succulents. I'm using the same blue, green, gray colors. However, I want these to be a little bluer and a little lighter. So I added a very light blue to the mixture called Blissful Blue. I like that the 2 colors are different, but yet similar. I always mix up my paints in these little 2-ounce plastic containers. They have a lid so my paint will stay fresh for at least the duration of my project. And when you're finished with your project, you can just throw them away. I don't want to have to mix this color again should I run out, so I always mix a little more than what I think I'll need. After the paint dried, I gave the top board and all the embellishments a coat of heavy-duty wood varnish in satin. Then let that dry for an hour. I'm going to be doing an antiquing process, and I need everything to have a shiny surface. I'm using a pre-mixed antiquing medium by Folk Art in the color Wooden Bucket Brown. I like my antiques a little runnier, so I added some water to it. I'm brushing my antique on the piece, going over and around all the embellishments. I'm doing this in sections and wiping the antique off with a soft dry cloth right away before it can dry. Because of the gloss finish, it will wipe off the surface and stay in all the cracks and crevices, showing the details of the mold. Antiquing gives your embellishments some depth and dimension, making everything look 3D instead of flat. What a difference it makes. Everything just comes to life now. I'm working on some great summer projects right now. A lot of them are requests that I'm excited to be making. I love planning projects around your requests. Just please be patient. I get quite a few of them, and I get the projects out as quickly as I can. I love hearing about what you'd like to see, so keep those requests coming. I'm going to highlight everything by doing some dry brushing. I'm dipping just the tip of my brush into the paint. I'm wiping off most of it on the side of the paint jar, then wiped even more of it off on a paper towel. You want your brush almost completely dry to get the proper effect. I'm skimming just the tip of my brush across the high points on the embellishment. You don't want the paint to go into any of the cracks or crevices, just lightly across the top. I used Dixie Belle in the color drop cloth for the horse's mane. Pentar yellow-red clay to bring out the detail in the boots. Succulents always have such beautiful colors. I'm using light orchid to dry brush the succulents with a lot of the fleshy leaves. The ones that look like roses, I used the color conch shell, but it was too light and I wanted some outstanding colors on this. So I went over it with vintage pink, which has a little bit of a peachy look to it. I like that so much better. I used Pentar Pine Green to get all the little leaves. Then I gave the entire board another coat of heavy-duty wood varnish in the satin finish to protect everything I just did. I'm using an antiquing wax in the color soot. I'm using a brush and going around all my embellishments to make them stand out from the canvas even more. I also added a little more shadowing to the horse. I put some on my brush and then wiped my brush on a paper towel. This will prevent a large amount of product ending up in one spot. You want to put this on sparingly, it's just for accent. I'm brushing it on and then wiping off any excess. I put it where the two boards meet each other to create some shadowing there as well. Instead of a brush, I used my finger to apply some to the edges of both boards. A darkened edge frames it and adds some depth. I'm putting a small amount of the rub on my finger and rubbing it together with my thumb. Smearing it around like that prevents a large amount of your product ending up in one place. Okay, my friends, here comes the gold. I'm going to add some foil transfer gel in just a few spots. It goes on white but dries clear and very sticky. I'm applying it with a fan brush and I dampened the brush so the bristles would separate. So this will go on sparingly. I'm dragging it very lightly over just the peach and yellow areas. I also added a little bit on the mane of the horse. And now I'll let this dry for about 15 minutes. This is gold foil, and it's a lot of fun to work with. You can get some gorgeous gold accents with absolutely no mess. I'm laying the sheet on my piece, gold side up, where I put the glue. Now I'm just rubbing the foil. The gold will transfer from the sheet to everywhere the glue is. This is adding just a few golden shimmery sparkles. Now I'm going to add some coppery sunlight to this piece. I'm using a wax rub in the color Firebird, and it is gorgeous. I'm applying this with my finger and rubbing my finger and thumb together again so as not to get a large amount of product in one spot. I'm applying it gently across the tops of all the succulents, the horse's mane, and the boots. This wax rub and the soot antiquing wax are both solvent based, so you will need to clean any brushes with mineral spirits. Everything else I use today, including the polyvine varnish, is water based and can be cleaned with soap and water. I get a lot of questions about how I clean my brushes after all the products I'm using. Everything you've seen me use today, except the wax antique and rub, is water-based, so they will all clean up with soap and water. I use Speedball pink soap for brushes. I'll leave you a link in my description box below. It works really well. It seems to remove paint you didn't even know was still in your brush. I think you'll like it. I'm adding some twine in the crack where the two boards meet, and I'm tying it in a bow in the bottom right corner. I thought the twine added to the Western look of this project. Don't forget, all of the wonderful products I'm using today can be found at my favorite place for craft supplies, decoupagenapkins.com, and I'll leave you links in my description box below. I've added a link to a video that I think you may enjoy. Click the picture on the right to be taken directly to that video. I'm so happy you were here with me today, and thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you all next week. I'm working on a new project with you in mind. You can subscribe by clicking my picture in the top right corner.